900 to 1,000 students, only 400 of them are full-time students. So we've been working with the various college administrations to rent more and more space. And what we're doing is we're renting space there to increase space on our main campus, and we're trying to shuffle appropriate programming over to the college. What we found out moving our programs out to the college was those students who may not have seen college as a possibility in their future wound up enrolling in SUNY Sullivan. The first year public safety was out there, 26 kids enrolled in SUNY Sullivan who had not been thinking about college prior to that first year they spent out there at the campus. So the college takes advantage of, we have about 150 to 160 students out there on a daily basis, and the college takes advantage of it and works very closely with them to try and recruit them. We have a lot of articulation agreements with SUNY Sullivan. So that's how we're meeting our program needs. Several years ago, we put an 8-classroom modular building on our property. If you come to the campus now and you look off to the left, there's a fairly new building on the lower left-hand side of the campus that houses some of our special ed programming. So we've been doing our best to work within the confines of what we have available to us. Moving our health occupations programs to the hospital was a natural fit. The students love going in their scrubs and working in that environment. They love the fact that they can walk out of their classroom and go on their clinical rounds just by walking down the hall. They feel like they're part of the hospital community. So we've been working very hard to get our kids where they should be, to get them out in the community working on projects. So I'd love to build. It's not in the cards in the immediate future. If I find that perfect moment in time where everything stops throughout the county, we'll quickly run out and put up a referendum. But I'm not sure if I'm ever going to find that. Any other questions? So we thank you again for taking the time to listen to us. Please don't forget, we have our annual meeting coming up, and we'd love to see all of you there. It's a great opportunity to see all of our programs in action. And again, we always look forward to the support Tri-Valley has provided to Sullivan BOCES, and for that, we thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, moving to item number 6D is the monthly administrative reports.
Good evening, everyone. Well, thank you, Bob DeFore, for coming, Dr. DeFore. We're going to try to follow that up, and we'll take a look at some of the things that we're doing here. So we just finished our first session of our STEAM programs in our elementary school. So we had a wide variety, some new ones. One of our new ones is our newspaper article. You can see they have a little newspaper stand. They did a physical copy, so a little more back to the old traditional way. They did a great job interviewing different staff members, coming around, really just writing and refining it and making it really look like a traditional newspaper, which was nice to see. We started a 6th grade robotics program with Miss Gilio. We brought back Crazy 8's math program. We had a brand new Creative Minds where they learned how to use Canva and design, a business program with Miss Minky. Circus Club came back. We had a new club with puzzles where they first learned how to do puzzles and then they made their own pieces. Legos came back, and 3D printing is not the big traditional 3D printers. They got 3D printer pens, and it's more of an art 3D printing with Miss Winters. It's very cute. Sometimes they made different designs. They made glasses. They learned how to do geometric shapes. So just some new things that our teachers are trying to share some of their passions with our students. And just a quick update on our staff PD for the year. So our in-district PD, that's usually when we bring providers in. These are all been grant funded. So we have had 13 elementary ELA support sessions. They cover various topics depending on the grade level. We have 7 more scheduled for the remainder of the year. We've had 7 support sessions for our secondary math teachers. We have another 13 planned for the rest of the year. Our admin team on one of the parent-teacher conference had a 6-hour DASTA session to get caught up. We just had a Title IX presentation for 3 hours just to make sure that everyone on our team is the most up to date with what's required by law. We've been able to send some of our teachers to some outside conferences to go mingle with people around the county, around the state, and really bring back some ideas. So we had this STANIS, which is the Science Annual Conference. We were able to send two of our art teachers to the Artistic Intelligence Conference. We had a number of our PE teachers go to the PE conference a couple weeks ago. We went to the ServSafe National Restaurant Association. We sent Ms. Williams to the Supporting Students in Temporary Housing with our Title Fund Day, just to see if we're maximizing how we're using that. And we're just trying to build what our people learn so then that they can turnkey it here and we can expand our services that we can bring to our students. Any questions?
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So this summer, we took initiative to revamp 2 spaces within the district. One is a counseling space, and the other is a physical therapy space that we have. In the counseling space, we have some comfortable seating areas that we put in, soothing colors and soft lighting. Tammy offered and gave us some wonderful rugs that the kids are totally enjoying. They're very fun with all the emotions on them. There's a picture up there with the little guys reading. And in the physical therapy space, we have updated a lot of the equipment. We kind of separated out the PT space from the OT space, which is physical therapy versus occupational therapy. So the students that are now receiving physical therapy as a related service have a much bigger area to do different mobility for their gross motor skills. One of them is this new lovely swing in the middle. It was very fascinating to watch this little girl get all strapped in there. They do a station rotation, and other ones in the back doing some balance coordination skills, and there were 2 other stations going on, all within the PT room as they do their 30-minute sessions. So it's been really good. Both the spaces are fantastic. They look great. They're bright. They're very welcoming, and they're really updated. So the kids are enjoying both of them. Any questions? Alrighty.
One question about PT. We have our PT services by an outside provider.
Yes.
Nobody's on staff, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So Mr. Snyder was talking about some of the professional development opportunities that the administrative team has had. Most recently, I had the opportunity to attend the Community Schools Conference, which took place in Rochester, New York. And I was not alone. We went with a team of administrators as well as TVTA members. Certainly the term of community schools has been talked about here at Tri-Valley for about 2 years now. It's, if you kind of think of the Bear Bash and all those community resources and partners actually being active members throughout the school year within our building. So as a big team, we went up to this community schools conference, and I think we all came back very inspired. You know, the opportunity to hear some of the speakers and representatives at this conference was really enlightening, as well as the opportunity that we had to do a site visit on the last day while we were up there. The last day we were able to actually go into a school who has a fully operational community schools program going. And I think what I enjoyed the most, and certainly with some of the colleagues that we were up there with, was being able to see a lot of us in that school. We already have a lot of the programs kind of going, orbiting in their own ways within our Tri-Valley school community. Certainly some of the TVTA opportunities, and certainly through some of their work, we're able to offer some of the food resources in which the food pantry that we visited offers up there as part of their community schools gathering. One of the speakers that day was actually talking about how coats are donated to their students based on students who have those needs. And as I stood there and I was listening, we were really reflecting on the fact that we have that within our own community. We have some of our community families who submit coats every year in the wintertime. We're always very grateful to receive those donations. as we were going ahead and looking throughout the school, I did miss our Tri-Valley vibe. You know, certainly there, when you visit other schools, it is always fun to see how they operate. It was certainly an amazing experience to see how they have their community schools program going. But of course, we see ways that we could always do it better here. So we have ongoing conversations that are planned so that all of us who went up there have an opportunity to kind of debrief together. There was a meeting scheduled. Unfortunately, it had to cancel, but I know we're all still kind of running around feeling independently inspired. And I think that when we have the opportunity to sit and debrief the experience together, we'll be able to continue those conversations and find ways to continue to support our families here in our community right here at home. As part of the conference, there were some breakout sessions with the ability to have some professional development to hear from representatives really across the state. And one of those breakout sessions had a huge focus on attendance. And so one of the opportunities that when I returned and speaking with Mr. Carbone was, okay, we really need to start getting this message out. So the idea of chronic absenteeism was really discussed there. I felt very confident that, okay, good, we're not alone in this idea and this kind of really needing to revamp some of the habits that came from when the pandemic hit and when students were kind of excused to not necessarily come to school when they just didn't feel a little good. So, you know, in speaking with Mr. Carbone and having sat through one of these breakout sessions, we're, again, really driven. And so conversations have started where Mr. Carbone and I have plans to join our PTO at their next meeting so that we can bring the message to our lower elementary students and their parents, their families, to really emphasize the need of what some of the research is showing us, for years of research that is showing us, that students in kindergarten and first grade, their presence is important to their future success. And when we looked at the data that was shown to us in this session, it was very obvious that by third grade, for students who have not been in regular attendance of school, you really start to see the discrepancy between how those students who attend regularly are achieving versus those students who maybe fall into this chronic absentee category, how they are. And just so that we're all on the same page, this idea of chronic absenteeism is 10% of the school year. So if you're looking at that's about 18 days of school, if students miss more than that, they are considered and identified as chronically absent. And I think that we really need to get emphasizing at the lower grades to really start to build those good habits. So that outreach is going to be starting. Mr. Carbone and I definitely have plans, and we want to really start branching out to get more of our community partners, especially our PTO, on board with us with that. And finally, you know, the work is still happening aside from the conference. As soon as I returned, the students were wondering where I was. I will be honest, I did not tell them I was going to be gone because I was afraid that they then wouldn't attend school in case Miss Williams was not there. So I got a lot of cranky faces when I returned, and I did apologize for not telling them. I told them I was deliberate and not. And what you see there is a collage of some of the pictures. In fact, one of the students there pictured was one of our chronically absent students last year, who was in the second picture, very happily sporting her BOCES sweatshirt, where she is in the animal program over there. She was in Dr. DeFore's presentation holding some weird fuzzy thing. But she enjoys it very much. I don't understand it, but she loves it. We also had our students who were able to visit when the Army came in, and we got them over there. They were to participate in some physical activities, and one of the students actually won a hat. He was very excited. He's been wearing it ever since. And I just really want to point out, it does take all of us to encourage the students and to be able to really make sure that when they're here, they're feeling comfortable. So I'll be quick. I know that Dr. DeFore was long and it's been a late night, but we were able to have some new tables that were purchased, actually selected by students last school year. The tables did arrive. We had two of our maintenance staff who were in there trying to put them together. And in the process of that, there was a very intense Guess Who game going on. They were in school and they had finished all their work. But there was a very intense, and there's one student who happens to be an ongoing champion. And with that, the maintenance staff volunteered to challenge him, and this challenge was accepted. And what you see there was a very intense game of Guess Who. And I do have to say that our student was overthrown as the champion, and he has since been back, trying to get me to coordinate a rematch. And so that is in the works, but he had some assessments he had to do this week, so I told him he does have to wait until those assessments are done. But that is really truly some of the work. But I continue to be inspired by all of the opportunities that all of us are having. But I've got to tell you, when you do visit other schools, Tri-Valley is certainly on the right track of offering our students the best opportunities. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will try to be brief here. I do want to thank Dr. Dufour for stalling long enough for me to solve our technical problems tonight, and my apologies to those at home who missed the first hour and 15 minutes of our meeting tonight, but we are back up and running audio and video for our stream. So real quick, the things we've been working on for the last month, we're into our budgeting preparations, planning for the 25-26 school year. We do have several planned items for that budget that have come out of our recent risk assessment, really looking at the areas where we can just continually get stronger, especially on the security side of things. Speaking of security, that is one of our big focuses. So cyber criminals really step up their targeting of school districts during breaks. So they know that there's reduced staff levels to deal with any kind of an emergency during winter break, during summer break, and those are the times they really try to nail districts because they know that the response is going to be that much slower. So knowing that, we always, in the weeks leading up to our breaks, we spend a lot of time and effort really making sure that all of our systems are completely up to date, patched, and ready to go, and we have as few vulnerabilities there as possible. On that note, we have been seeing in the past 4 days now, a targeted attack on our school district. So we are seeing a large number of what's called a password spraying attack. So for Tuesday morning, for example, there were 97 attempts, or sorry, Monday morning in 4 hours, there were 97 attempts to crack passwords of users at our school district. Especially, I'd say about half of our admin team were included in that, about 80% of our IT staff, and they're really going after the accounts where they'll have the biggest bang. And then Tuesday morning, it just continued to escalate. We saw 324 attempts in 3 hours. So, and those attacks are hitting at our VPN entryway. So I don't like to try to use technical terms without explaining them. So a VPN, for those of you who aren't familiar, is, you can think of it as a secure tunnel through the internet. And that tunnel, in this case, goes between an end user's computer and our network here. So if you can think of like getting into New York City, if in order to get there, you had to go through the Lincoln Tunnel, but you had to give a username and password before they let you into the tunnel in the first place. And you had the entire US military standing on the opposite bank, making sure you didn't try to swim across. That's kind of the idea of a VPN. Well, they're trying to give credentials at that entryway to the tunnel to get in and do it in a slow enough manner that it didn't raise our alarms. We detected it as we go through our logs on a regular basis, and we've been looking at ways to mediate that in the meantime. And lastly, there were 4 of us from Tri-Valley that went up to the NISCATE conference, the New York State Computers, Technology, and Education Conference, and we had a lot of great takeaways from that. There's some excellent technology that we're looking at how we can implement and bring that in to just make our teachers' lives that much better, improve instruction for our students, and improve security. So we're looking forward to seeing how many of those opportunities we can really take care of in the coming year. Any questions? Thank you very much.
If I may, the issue we had tonight, is that equipment or is it a system?
I believe it was a software issue. What it looks like is there was a Windows update that was happening on the laptop in the background. And
At the same time?
Yeah, there was, because I tested everything about 6:15 tonight and everything was working fine. I locked my computer, walked away, came back at 6:50, and we had no audio. So it was mystifying. Both Corey and I were both working on that for ESOP for an hour and 15 minutes, and we were finally able to get everything back up and running. So it was still not entirely positive what the root cause of it was, but it was definitely mystifying.
Do these attempts to get into our system raise to the level of reporting it to the legal authorities?
Password spray attacks are sort of just an ongoing fact of life, sadly. On any given day, the amount of data that we generate just in security logs from attempts to get in is colossal. I would say on any given day, I'm collecting about 4 to 6 gigabytes just in text data logs of those types of things. And some of it is just attempts to, a lot of people have systems configured so that logs roll over. So if they know if they create enough noise, if they are able to get in, they can create enough noise and those logs disappear. With our systems, the way I have it set up, we archive those off. So I could go back years in our security logs and see every single thing that's happened. But that's kind of part of their strategy there. So the short answer is no, not at this point. If they were able to actually breach an account, that would be something we would report. If they were to get into the network in any way where it's not kind of something that's just happening 24/7, 365, then that would also get reported as well.
What areas do you think they're trying to get into? Finance?
It's always money.
Money?
It's always money. Most of the attacks are geared towards, you hear the term ransomware a lot of times, where they basically encrypt all of your data and they say, give me your money or we're not going to give you your data back. What we're seeing in the past few years is that's usually preceded by data exfiltration. So they'll actually, once they get in, before they encrypt your data, they're actually copying all of your student data, your staff members' personal information, stuff they can use for identity theft that they can sell on the dark web. They exfiltrate that out and then they encrypt stuff. So while you're dealing with the fact that your teachers are teaching like it's 1970, now they're selling your students' data, they're selling your staff data on the dark web, so that they're hoping for 2 money streams there.
Do you feel Tri-Valley is specifically being targeted, or is this seems to be a widespread issue in the area?
School districts in general are really highly targeted. I was at a conference last week, where an FBI agent was presenting and talking about this and saying what we really all have seen for a long time. They know that school districts don't generally have the kind of security budgets that a private company does, and often not the in-house expertise that private companies have. And therefore, and they know that no matter what, we're not going to close down. We're always going to, a private business might declare bankruptcy and just go out of business. A school district always has to keep going. So we're always big targets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to just talk about our academics and what's happening up in our secondary school. So we will be having our honor roll breakfast on the 17th, pending weather delays or cancellations. So we are finally rescheduled for that. We're hopeful to celebrate them before the next marking period. But we will be celebrating them coming up soon. And we had 261 students reach our honor roll in our secondary school, which is amazing. So some of those numbers, our honor roll, which is an 84.5 average and above, it was 87 students on that list. Our high honor roll, 89.5 average and above, 118 students. And our principal's honor roll of a 94.5 and above average, 56 students. So we're extremely proud of these students and we're extremely excited to celebrate them coming up soon. Some other things that are going on that we have coming up is our FAFSA night, which is for our seniors. So the next one that we will have, we had one last night. The next one is going to be on the 18th from 5 to 7. It's here. SUNY Sullivan comes in with representatives and assists all of our students and their families in filling out these forms, which can be kind of time consuming and confusing for a lot of people. So we host those nights here and collaborate with our students and families to help them support them through those things. Then we also have a junior and senior Q&A with past graduates coming up that our career readiness program is hosting. So they're going to come into our building while they're on their winter break from colleges and career pathways. And they're going to come in, and our juniors and seniors can meet with them and ask them any questions that they might have or how they're just doing after life at Tri-Valley. So we're super excited about that. We also have our January Regents coming up. That is towards the end of January. We will be hosting review sessions for those students. All those students will be made aware of them through guidance and their teachers to make sure that they can sign up for any extra review sessions that they might have after school. Other than that, do you guys have any questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Is that breakfast open to board members? I know when they did it in the auditorium, we were invited by Mr. Haynes, I believe. But I think that's, in my view, having a board member, it would be an honor to them, I believe, to say it's important.
So
And I think it's important for them to realize that it takes a lot of work for them to get there.
absolutely.
And I'm proud of that.
We are super proud of them. So we are planning a collaborative event at the end of the school year for any student that has made it to any honor roll during any of the marking periods, where we're going to invite families and board members in so we can celebrate their full year accomplishments.
Ms. Eberly?
Yeah.
If I may, would it be possible on the list of honor roll students that gets posted to put a asterisk or something denoting the students that are athlete scholars?
Yes, that's a great idea. And we can definitely do something with that to make sure
Thank
that
you.
they're honored there. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Pretty much the same from Miss Eberly. We have our honor roll breakfast on the same day. That'll be at the elementary cafeteria. We had 41 kids have honor roll, 27 students earned high honor roll, and 15 students earned the principal's honor roll. And that is out of 168 enrolled 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. So it's just under 50%, 49.4% of those students earned those recognitions. So very proud to be working in a school that focuses on the academic education of the students and to see such great numbers in our student body. We also have our concert next Tuesday, and I was able to walk in and participate in the rehearsal this afternoon. They're very excited to perform. So if anybody can get out to the concert next Tuesday night, I'm sure they would love to see you and love to play for you.
Good evening, everyone. I had the pleasure of presenting the Bear Awards for Q1 to our students. We had a total of 280 students in grades pre-K through 6 who exhibited Bear expectations, and we are very proud of them. They were recognized for positive behavior, effort, attitude, and taking responsibility for their learning. And special kudos to Kim Petit for dressing up as our mascot. So I just wanted to give her special kudos. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hello again, everybody. So winter seasons have kicked off. We have 123 JV and varsity winter athletes participating right now. On our 3 modified teams, we have a total of 37 athletes. So you heard it's 90 average or above for individual scholar athletes. There's also the Scholar Team Award. I had to do some math. I had to get the old calculator out. So 75% of the team needs to have a 90 or above average in order to qualify as a scholar team. So you have to do all the math. You figure out what 75% of the team is. You take those top scores from the team. So if you had 5 where you're 75%, you take the top 5 averages, and if it's above a 90, it's a team award. Those have been submitted to the state, and when I get the certificates back, we hang those up in kind of the wall on the upper gym. It's that hallway as you walk down. So as soon as those come in, I will get those up. We did have state champions. So individual state champions, Anna and Van Furman, at my last OCIAA meeting, they presented banners for them. So these hang by the main office, and then after some time, we'll take them down, we'll give it to them. So that was very kind of the section to present us with these. We also had some of the all-star selections. So for the girls soccer team from the Coaches Association, Jenna Carmody, Allison Chevalier. And then football does it a little different. We all sit in a room. We give the stats on the players and argue a little bit, and then we vote. And we did have Josh Fanslow and Misha Kodakovsky, who were on the all-section team. We'll be attending a dinner in February at Otterkill for them. And then we also get an all-league. And we had Travis Capuana, Easton Scana, and Zach Whipple selected to those teams. And again, that's all of those awards. So the girls soccer awards and the football awards, those are voted on by all of the coaches. So it really is an honor that, other coaches and teams in the area see how well our players perform and are willing to, give those awards to them. Are there any questions?
Quick question. Volleyball, this is our first year having volleyball. How did that go? I hadn't heard much about it.
So I think it was amazing. I think just the atmosphere, the interest was fantastic. When we ordered uniforms, we got enough to kind of carry 2 different levels. So our goal is to potentially open it up going forward to have 2 levels. I don't know that we're ready to compete at the varsity level yet. So possibly JV for another year, but those are all conversations kind of to be had, but we definitely plan for it to stick around and hopefully grow.
Mr. Crudelli, how many students do we have interested in the wrestling program?
So we have 3 total sign up right now.
Male or female?
2 male, 1 female.
Okay.
Yep. And that's, those are the numbers that I had signed up right now.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to item number 7 is the superintendent's report from Erin Long.
Good evening, everyone. I want to say congratulations to all of our Scholar athletes and our Scholar athletic teams. Certainly, we know the balance you need to have to maintain your academics and also your commitment to our extracurricular activities. So I'm going to take a step away from all the good news and talk a little bit about regionalization, which is a hot topic for us in education right now, and give you a little summary of what's been going on, and then some decisions we need to talk about as a board and some recommendations. So as we are aware, we received some information in the fall from New York State Education Department about a system called regionalization, where we take a look at what we have in our districts, and then is there opportunities for us to share services, share academic programs, that kind of stuff. Our first charge was to complete a strengths and needs tool. That was completed. I had that finished on December 6th and submitted to the state. That made us take a deep look at our data, our enrollment, our graduation rates, the course offerings that we had, and we submitted that to the state. We've also, as superintendents in Sullivan County, have been working with Dr. DeFore on these convenings, which are meetings to talk about the regionalization and opportunities that we each have within our districts, and if there's anything that we can share. So we had both of our mandatory meetings in this fall. The next step is that as a board, we need to talk about if this is something we want to continue to pursue. Once the regionalization came out, there was an enormous amount of rumors that were spread around the state, really some confusion as to what it really was. Many felt it was just we were going to have one giant high school we were going to bus all of our kids to. Our kids would be on the bus for 3 hours at a time. And it really isn't that. It really is taking a look at what we offer, what other schools offer, and what can we do that's best for our students. So as you may have heard, there was some outcrying, some good, some bad. Some of our northern schools way up in the north really are interested in regionalization because they don't have the opportunities that we do. But there is a lot of schools that are against regionalization. And so I think when State Ed did a little bit of a tour around the state, they realized that maybe they were moving a little too fast and they pulled back. So they made some decisions that districts do not need to participate in regionalization. If we choose not to, then we have to create a resolution and vote on that. And then I have to notify the state by January 15th in writing that we're not going to opt into it. However, 80% of the work is done. It took me about 6 or 7 hours to get the full report finished. I needed a lot of data from the Mid-Hudson RIC, which they did provide. And now that the report is in, the next steps for us as superintendents is we get the report from our county back in January. We sit down with Dr. DeFore and we create a plan of what we can do as a county to offer more for our students collectively. And then we submit that plan April 1st, and then we revisit it in 10 years. So most of the schools in Sullivan County are just going to take a really passive approach toward it, because we did spend so much time on filling out the report and looking what we offer, looking at the things that we offer, and then having conversations with each other about maybe there are some things we can share. We merge in sports. Is there something we can do with our music departments? Are there courses that somebody's offering that one school's not? And so we are willing as a group of superintendents to have that conversation. And that's really about as far as we're willing to go. So we're going to be fairly passive in our approach. We're going to follow what the state is requiring, unless we decide as a board we don't want to do that. My concern is that if we opt out, we lose the opportunity to participate in discussions. So we will not be considered a school in the regionalization program, and we won't know what's going on. So if decisions are being made and we don't have an opportunity for input, that would, I think, hurt us. I also believe that if we do not kind of just keep in the loop, I'm sure there's going to be some type of a political list of who opted out and who did not. And my concern is if there's any financial or systemic decisions made that may hurt us. If they look at our aid ratios and they decide, well, Tri-Valley didn't want to participate, they don't need this much aid. I'm just not sure what the fallout will be. It's a really sensitive topic. I know the commissioner was in Putnam BOCES today trying to mend some fences. That seems to be where most of the disgruntled superintendents are coming from, that in Long Island. And I just am worried if Tri-Valley chooses to opt out, then we are putting ourselves at risk of losing some opportunities from the state. So I can open this up for a quick discussion. And if you really feel passionate that we need to opt out, then we could talk about a resolution to vote on that.
A couple questions. Just initially, are there any benefits? Say we had AP Physics and nobody else in the county. We look at the county because of BOCES, but it could be Ellenville even. If we bring students in, whether virtually in person, to these programs, is there anything like a COSER with BOCES where there would be financial incentives, because you're kind of playing by the state's rules? They're going to make, you're doing what they're asking you to do. Would we be benefiting from that in any way?
I can see that coming down the pike. I think there is some talk of schools that merge, they're matching this district that has the higher aid. So I am sure they would attach some financials to that. And those logistics we haven't even started to talk about. But when we were working with a lady that did our DASA training, she's from Mexico, New York, which is up north of Syracuse. And, she's really for it. And she said, we offer advanced physics once every 3 years because they just can't teach those classes. They don't, have enough students. They don't have enough staff. And for us, it's a no-brainer. You know, we have kids that are taking multiple college level classes because we can offer them. So I'm sure that would be one of the options.
And what defines a region? How far are we looking to go?
That's pretty blurry. Region right now could be as vast as the entire state. So, you know, again, hurry up and wait for some information. None of those are clear.
As always, there's a lot of questions when the state comes down and does it in such a short order. It's sort of a mandate. That bothers me. You don't have time for any discovery. I think Pat brought up a point. What is our region? Where do they go? How many students at one time can opt out of our school and go to someplace else? Do we need that teacher anymore? It's going to upset totally our structure of faculty. There's just too many questions, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think it boils down to finances as well. Because when you start this, they haven't mentioned about any aid for this. And they never do. So it's a financial issue with me as well. But look, who would not want our students to have the best education you could possibly get? But that's why we need to do the best we can here, for they don't want to leave Tri-Valley because it is a good place.
Mm-hmm.
So in my view, I think it's a financial issue for our public, for a referendum, to let them decide if they want to do that, because they're the ones that are going to be paying for this. I know we have been elected to represent them, but this one is difficult for me to understand it, number one, because of the time that it came down and the time we had to review it. Sure, we all did it on the computer, we see it, but I don't know what other schools feel about it, especially in our area. So if other schools are not opting to it in our area, where are our students going to go? So I'm against it.
When the road trip happened with the commissioner, going around to the regions across the state, I think there was pushback that they didn't expect. And so then they delayed when the report had to be submitted to the state. They started to give boards of education more control. You know, when we were at that BOCES meeting, it was clear there was many board members from area schools that were not happy with not having the ability to make the decision for the school. That's what our job is. I just think that their pushback set them back a little bit, and they did try to rush this through. And I think people had a lot of questions around it, and they are listening. I just worry about the mandates that may come out of this. And I worry about the politics of if the mandate's going to be funded, if you took part in this, and if you didn't, does the mandate become unfunded? And that's a burden to the taxpayers. I'm just not sure what may come out of it. And you do a lot of reading on your choices and options. And I would much rather have Tri-Valley being a part of the discussions instead of the state making decisions for Tri-Valley.
No, I applaud your stance on it and applaud your education on it. But I know a lot of this came out of New York City because they have a problem down there with some of the districts. They want to go to different schools, maybe just down the street. So I know a lot of this, and we don't have much power on the board. We have 13 Regents people, and we have 1 or 2 upstate. We have no power. So a lot of this stuff is coming from New York City. We don't have any representation. And every time that something comes down, that comes down with money, with a hammer over our head. We did in the early 90s, we changed from it was whole language. Thank you. Yeah. From phonics to whole language. At that time, I asked, how did it do? Well, California had it. Well, how does California do? Well, they don't do it anymore. Well, why not? Well, they had problems with it. So I asked them, what's the difference? The water better on the East Coast? So we had it here for how many years? And now we went back to naming it something else. But who really got hurt from this? Our kids. Our kids. And we are the third from the bottom in civilization countries, third from the bottom in reading. Now that is really serious. So I don't have much support and much, when the state brings down something like this, they're up to something. So forgive me for being against it.
I appreciate that. I just, again, really will emphasize being on the House of Delegates, I'm able to have a little bit more inside scoop, and I'm a little ahead of what some other folks know just because I'm at these meetings. I just think the safer choice for us is just to passively partake, and then we'll know what's going on.
What's the teachers' unions feel about this? Unions across the state.
We've been talking about that as well, and I think NYSET is really partnering with us. You know, we always want opportunities for our kids all over the place, but
absolutely,
our kids and our families live in Tri-Valley because they want to have a Tri-Valley education. Our teachers teach here because they want to teach in Tri-Valley, and we don't want to lose our identity with what we have and what we have to offer. So I think we're fairly unified in our direction.
Anybody else have anything? You want to do a hand vote? Just to see.
And it would just be a hand vote to see if we want to vote no, and then we would have to create I think we would have to create a resolution to approve that.
Okay, so we'll do a hand vote on whoever does not support it.
Say it louder. What's the question?
If you do not support the regionalization proposal. Anyone else?
I stand by it. I can stand alone.
We understand. We understand. Anybody else?
I'm just going to say I'm going to vote yes because of your intended approach. I think that's probably our safest bet. I do think that there's, a lot of questions, and we shouldn't have to make a decision like this, but middle of the road approach, I appreciate.
If we don't opt out now, are we able to opt out down the line?
We're not sure. We're not sure of that yet. All this came down pretty quick about a couple of weeks ago, and we have to let our district superintendent know, and then we have to let the state know by the 15th, and then we no longer participate in the Sullivan County planning or the Sullivan County decision making. And that's what alarms me. I just don't want us to not be a part of the decision making. I don't want anybody making the decisions for us.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that I'm agreeing to move forward with this, but I'm really not 100% behind it. If we need to do what's necessary now to comply or do what's necessary to protect our school, yes, but I don't feel comfortable enough really going yay or nay on the scenario, especially with not having enough information. But I will go along with doing what's necessary to protect the school.
I completely agree. I don't feel like I will comply, right? Okay, if that's what you feel is great right now, but it doesn't feel right.
I think what makes me feel comfortable with this is that I know we're going to sit down in January and look at the data. If we even get the reports back in January, like they said, we create a plan. It goes on a shelf for 10 years. So I would imagine we're still going to get more changes. I know today's meeting was very intense. Just talking with some colleagues late this afternoon, it didn't go well for the commissioner, and I think she's backtracking a little bit. I think she's got herself in some deep waters. So if we're passively participating, I think at least we're in the know. I don't necessarily agree with it either. I don't want our kids to have to go someplace else. And frankly, I don't know if I want to bring in kids from other districts. That's a management issue. That's an instructional issue. That's a responsibility of ours. It's an insurance liability, all of those things. And there's so many logistical things that have to work out. But again, I just don't want to not be in the loop, is my ground.
I agree with the thoughts of the other board members. I feel that we should err on the side of caution, and stay in the loop so that but honestly, I feel like this is kind of being crammed down our throats without the proper information. And the timeline is just not acceptable to make a full educated decision for our students.
I think we're all concerned with how fast these kind of things come at us, and, that's been noted.
When we're talking about this isn't school choice. This isn't, I'm zoned for Monticello, I want to send my kid to Tri-Valley. This is an opportunity for a class, not a full change in district.
Yes.
Just making sure I understand
Yes, this is, I live up north in Malone, and I want to take a physics class, and they have it at Rockland High School, and I'm going to satellite in kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move along.
Yes. All right. So the foils that we've received so far this month, we had a foil from Cindy Mickelson on November 14th for a copy of 3 quotes or requests for 3 quotes or bidding documents for the monies paid to the Duchess Restaurant Equipment Company in the amount of $27,708.11 per warrant 001 from 725 as presented at the August 15th, 2024 board meeting. Please include a copy of the purchase orders and itemized invoice. We received a foil from Janet Diamond on November 14th for all documents pertaining to state and federal grant funds allocated to the districts through the Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security, which is the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, which is CRRSA, or we called it ESSER 2, the American Rescue Plan, and the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, which is ESSER 1, including but not limited to the original grant applications, all amendments, purchase orders, quotes, invoices, presentations to the public about the proposed and actual expenditures, and any emails authorizing the expenditure of grant funds. We received a foil from Cindy Mickelson on December 6th for the budget status report for 24-25, showing the original appropriation and all expenditures for all budget codes to date. I would like any adjustments to the budget, encumbrance outstanding, and an unencumbered balance for each fund and budget code as well. Please include all funds and unencumbered balance for each fund and budget code as well. Please include all funds, including grant monies. We received a FOIL appeal from Janet Diamond on November 25th for the 2019 capital project that was approved by voters. There's a lot to that one. I'm not going to read the whole thing. And then finally tonight, we want to talk about Van Furman real quick. If you've had a chance to look at our Facebook, Melanie and Kevin did a fantastic spotlight on Van. Last weekend, Van traveled to the Nike Cross Nationals in Portland, Oregon, finished 48th out of 199 runners with a time of 16:11. Van was the first New York State boy to cross the line and the 5th out of the entire Northeast. If you saw pictures, it was a muddy mess. He was in kind of this light colored uniform and he was filthy. The puddles were crazy. Van is one of the only 8 runners in the United States who is qualified and will be competing at both national competitions this year. Over the Thanksgiving break, he was in Boston and qualified to run in the Foot Locker Championship in San Diego this Saturday, December 14th. Foot Locker is the most historic and prestigious cross-country championship in the United States, and only the top 40 of the best runners in the country qualify for this race. So on our Facebook, you can see the link where you can watch the race live. We've only had 2 other runners from Tri-Valley ever qualify for this, Katie Landau and Chip Furman. So it's pretty cool that Chip gets to go out there and see his son run. So really proud. That's all.
And he just signed at Georgia.
He just signed at Georgetown. Pretty amazing.
Thank you. Moving to item number 8 is items the board wants pulled from tonight's agenda. Anything? Move to item number 9 is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to, a resolution to approve the entire consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
As unanimous, thank you. Be it resolved upon the recommendation from the superintendent of schools, the board approves the entire consent agenda, categories 9 through 13. Moving to item number 14 is board committee reports. We have 8. I will go through them quickly. For their first reading, policy 0100, non-discrimination and equal opportunity, first reading. For public information, item 14B is policy 0110, sexual harassment, first reading. It's for public information. Item 14C is policy 0110.2, sexual harassment in the workplace, first reading. It's for public information. Item 14D is policy 0111, sex discrimination and sex-based harassment under Title IX, first reading, for public information. Item 14E is policy 0111-E. It is sex discrimination and sex-based harassment under Title IX exhibit definitions, first readings, for public information. Item 14F is 0115-R, student harassment and bullying prevention and intervention regulation, first reading, public information. Item 14G is policy 1220, school district records, first reading, public information. Policy 14H is policy 9520.6, policy on the rights of employees to express breast milk in the workplace, first readings, for public information. And that is it. Moving to item number 15 is old business. We don't have anything tonight for old business. Item 16 is public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. And I have no one signed up. Item number 17 is announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. Does anybody have anything? Okay, moving to item number 18 is new business. We have 4 items. Number 18A is special education services contract. Can I have a motion to accept the special education services contract? Motion by Pat.
Second.
Second by Tammy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the special education services contract between the Tri-Valley Central School District and the Monticello Central School District as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Moving to item number 18B is the merger, Boys and Girls Alpine Ski Teams. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept the merger for the Boys and Girls Alpine Ski Team?
Motion.
Motion by Travis.
Second.
Second by Rose. Any discussion?
If I may, does that have something to do with the application for combining of our teams, or is that a different subject that we're going to talk about?
Yes, it was the application of combining of the teams.
I don't have a problem with the application, but I see the deadlines here. Why are we exempt from the deadlines?
Are you talking about for wrestling?
I'm talking about application for the process. It says fall sports is January 15th, the deadline. For winter sports, March 15th is the deadline, so that would be the year before, correct? And for the spring sports is May 15th to combine. I mean, I'm only looking at the application.
Yes, Kevin, you want to answer for us?
So there's a committee member or someone in charge of combining the teams. My understanding of it is that a long while ago, there used to be a lot of arguments over this. They wanted it early. It's since calmed down, gotten a lot easier. They accept mergers, later. Just again, provide opportunities for kids to. They're not out to.
So this really is outdated then, because I see it says updated on 1/11/2018. So really it's hard. It's hard to do business when we don't know what we're doing business on. So I apologize for asking the question.
No, it's a good ask.
I'm for it. I'm for it.
Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
Travis?
I voted yes.
Okay. That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the merger of the Boys and Girls Alpine Ski Teams of the Tri-Valley Central School District and the Fallsburg Central School District per the agreement attached to the public portion of the agenda and pending approval from the Fallsburg Central School District. Moving to item number 18C is the merger boys varsity wrestling teams. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept the merger of the boys varsity wrestling team?
Motion.
Motion by Kerry,
Second.
second by Nicole. Any discussion?
I just have a question. So we're appointing a coach, correct, tonight for the varsity wrestling. They're going to Fallsburg for practice and for competitive purposes. We're not
gonna-
having anything here.
We're going to go back and forth.
Back and forth.
Anybody else? Okay, please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the merger of the boys varsity wrestling teams of the Tri-Valley Central School District and the Fallsburg Central School District per the agreement attached to the public portion of the agenda and pending approval from the Fallsburg Central School District. Item 18D is the merger of the girls varsity wrestling team is in action. Can I have a motion to accept the merger of the girls varsity wrestling team? Motion by Rose, second by Tammy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
It is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the merger of the girls varsity wrestling teams of the Tri-Valley Central School District and the Fallsburg Central School District as per the agreement attached to the public portion of the agenda and pending approval from the Fallsburg Central School District. Moving to item 19 is board comments session. So anything, George? Start over there. Okay, go.
I want to say great job to the elementary school. The after-school programs that were run a couple weeks ago, it was a great variety. Tons of feedback from all the little ones that participated. Job well done. That newspaper was top-notch. Seeing it on its stand in the hallway was wonderful. I still have a copy in my car. Good job.
Rose?
Just wanted to say congratulations to all the scholar athletes who were here today and who couldn't make it. I know some were at basketball games or home. We see the hard work that you guys are doing, and it doesn't go unnoticed.
Quick question about one point Dr. DeFore raised about the COSER with the schools and the college reimbursement. Kind of alluding to her little chat earlier. Is that something like really like breaking news, or is this something we were aware of? And what would our percentage be for the aidable? He mentioned 47% you might get back. Just curious.
So the COSER was started and discussed at a superintendent's meeting about a month ago. For us in our district to take that on, number one, we would commit to paying all the tuition. We would pay for Sullivan County BOCES guidance counselor. We would pay for a person that would be doing all of the programming and planning for the student on top of the guidance counselor. We would be responsible as a district for all the transportation to any events that the students chose to participate in at the college. When we did the money part of it here for Tri-Valley, it wasn't feasible for us. It would be about $110,000 for us to go into that program on top of the cost of the tuition, on top of the travel. And at this time, we're just going to be bystanders and see if it works. But when we cost it out, because we have to pay for all of those people as part of that COSER, it just didn't seem reasonable for us.
Tim?
I'd like to congratulate all of you for making it through this meeting. And it's almost over. I promise you, we're almost done. A couple of quick items. I got to speak in Mr. Haynes' class this week, the Civics and Justice class. I was incredibly impressed with the depth of the kids in the class, the questions, talking about homelessness and hunger and issues facing our county that I am certain I was not worried about when I was 16, 17 years old. So I was impressed. Thanks for having me. And then lastly, and something I wish these kids, I know the meetings are tough to stick through. I wish they'd stuck around because I wanted to mention Tri-Valley has a graduate, Beth Coombe, for some of you in the room that know her. She was just appointed as a federal judge in the Northern District of New York, which is like a huge deal. Lifetime appointment. Super success. She was first female chief prosecutor in the Northern District of New York back in 2014. She just got put in by the Senate. Tri-Valley grad, 1985, FFA, track. I mean, just a superstar here. And I'd love for our kids to see, you don't just have to go to where your parents went. Right, you can reach the top. Like this is a big deal. Obviously, some of us on the board we deal with this stuff a lot, and I was just blown away. Tri-Valley grad as a federal judge is pretty awesome. So, thank you guys.
I'm just trying to move this thing along. Tammy.
I'd just like to congratulate all the honor roll students and the scholar athletes and teams. It's a great accomplishment. It shows the dedication to our school and to your studies. Congratulations to Van Furman on his cross-country success in Portland, and I wish him all the best in San Diego. I'm definitely going to be watching, and I'm sure he's going to do extremely well out there. And I would also just like to ask if it's possible for the board members to get copies of the elementary school newspaper next time it's published. Yeah, whenever. Thank you.
That's another Tri-Valley graduate right there.
So, Kim, quick question. Were you ever in the Bear when you were actually a student here, or were you just waiting to be in an administrative position? Yeah. I think it's wonderful. So last night, the high school had their concert, the music concert for the winter. Beautiful. Absolutely phenomenal job. Our arts, I wish more kids took advantage of some chorus and band opportunities, but they're only stretched so thin as far as academics and athletics. But I see that the groups are growing back from how small they were before COVID. It was really very nice. Second, scholar athletes. It was wonderful to see them come here, not only just to be acknowledged to have received the honor of achieving a scholar athlete, to actually come in and be recognized for it. To see so many kids here was really very nice, even though they looked to run out the door as quick as possible. Van Furman, I mean, watching you grow up here from little Gramsville Gallup to what you're accomplishing in high school and representing our school. He's a humble runner. I love watching him run. He's just strategic. Huge congratulations to him and best wishes. Second or third or fifth thing, we discussed having a student representative months ago, and I thought it was a part of a mandate from the state. Is it something that we're still investigating, or do we have an idea of who we're going to ask to be a part of our group?
So it's a mandate for next year. What we're doing is working with student government right now just to identify some criteria, have some kids apply and interview, and then choose them that way.
Okay.
So we're hoping probably, I would say maybe February, March meeting, we may start with a student representative.
Great. That's all I have.
Travis?
I'll be very short. I just want to say thank you to Holiday Mountain for coming all the way out to Tri-Valley and just giving us a little piece of what is available and out there for our students to really get them involved and teach them at a young age. So it's kind of like riding a bike. You'll remember it forever. I hope Tri-Valley can try to maybe look at it a little bit closer and see if there's something we might be able to put together with it. So thank you again for that. And a special shout out for the scholar athletes and also Van Furman. Wow. Just to hear that sitting on the other side of the table, just what an awesome accomplishment. Special shout out to them. Great job.
10 seconds, George. No. George.
Just the status of the driver ed. A while back, we wanted to move forward with driver ed. So what's the status with that?
Status is we're still looking at the budgeting for a vehicle. And we have 4 people now that have showed interest, and we really have to get them to commit to one of the programs that are out there. So we're still treading water on that one.
Thank you. Security team here at Tri-Valley, they don't get too much recognition, but boy, they're doing a fantastic job, and they should be commended for keeping our kids safe because everybody sees them out there every day. And they're very cordial to everybody, but they're very aware of what's going on. Make no mistake. Every year, the Government Center in Monticello has a invite for all the schools to do musical, either band or chorus. I was wondering what the status was this year for our students, if we're having it going over, and if it was, what date are they going over? Because I'd like to attend that.
Our jazz band will be performing again on December 20th at, we're working on it. We're getting you the time. Hang on.
You're not sure of the time yet.
Amanda's got it for me.
December 20th at 10 a.m. was our date that we gave them in time, and they have so far said yes.
So it's 10 a.m.?
Yes.
I know the last time Keith and I attended that, and it was well received. Community public relations. Every time I look in the paper, there's something about every other school but Tri-Valley. I mean, they have the honors, they have everything that goes on in the schools other than Tri-Valley. And we talk about public relations all the time. And I mean, look what happened tonight, how many kids were honored here. And if that was put out, that would go a long ways to public relations for our community here, because the community, not everybody listens to board meetings, and they would like to know what goes on at Tri-Valley. And we have a lot of very good things going on here all the time. And I really believe it would help a lot of people to know what's going on, to support our programs and to support our budget. And that'll be coming up shortly.
So the townsman's been exceptional this year. And Melanie Menke, our communication specialist, is sending everything to them. So the townsman has all of our honor roll students, has a focus on all the great things that we're doing. They have been really great partners. Sullivan Democrat is a little more difficult. Some of those pages we have to pay for. And, we do need to build a better relationship with them.
We have to pay for that public relations?
Yes. The townsman is, we pay, it's not as expensive, and she's just absolutely wonderful about publishing anything from our school. Everything that we give her, she puts in.
So we have to pay for sports when the teams report that?
Yes.
Really?
So scores, coaches can send in, that doesn't cost us money, but
How about when we honored our some of our students, like Van Furman, when he won? I saw that in the paper. Do we have to pay for that?
it really just depends on what they will send the reporter. Sometimes they won't. The article we have on Facebook right now, I sent to the Democrat and Townsville Record. Can't guarantee they'll put it in, but it was sent to them. So it's very hit.
I did not know that.
Are we dealing with Mid-Hudson News at all?
We primarily sports-wise sent to the Townsville Record and Democrat, but we can
It's the same way with the record?
So the record, same thing. We primarily do scores. So, for example, basketball season, after every varsity game, coaches CC me on email that go to both editors. That stuff's usually just a score.
It's extremely interesting. Another thing is, I want to say thank you for, I've been after the district to do a report on how our academics are doing for 2.5 years. And I wasn't here for that. I apologize. But I did listen to it, and I was encouraged and really, really honored by them doing that, because we are really moving up and we're advancing. And I got to really thank the administration for getting that going, and the faculty being behind them. So thank you so much for doing that. One last thing, I promise.
And hold yourself.
Cell phone use in our school. I will go to my grave saying that it's not good for the district. Other schools are banning it. I just read online well, I don't use online. I apologize.
Oh, pull that shit.
Busted.
Oh, man.
Well, anyway, I read where a teachers union just got on board supporting banning school cell phones in schools. Tri-Valley has always been ahead of the game here at Tri-Valley. And, we're different than a lot of other schools. We are, and that's why everybody comes here. That's why we have our superintendent here, and that's why we have our administration joining us. And it's a unique school. And I think we're not doing justice to our kids. It's obviously, it's a very addictive thing, because when you go from classroom and you got to look at your cell phone, or if it's an adult, they got to pick up their, whatever you want to call it, the moment they have a moment, even if they're working, that's addiction. And addiction goes a long ways. But also traffic accidents because of what's going on. So if we could start, look, seatbelt, putting it on took a lot to get done. And it took many years. Now they got click it or ticket. Well, I learned from my kids. I got in the car, they say, buckle it. So it all starts, when they're young. And we need to do that because it's also mental health. So I don't understand why we can't ban it totally in the school. I will go to my deathbed telling you it's very important for our children to not have that cell phone, at least not in school. So if I stepped on any toes, I apologize, but I feel strongly about that.
We feel strongly too. At our TVTA meeting today, we discussed cell phones. We are all in agreement. NYSED is really supporting this at the state level. We are waiting for the governor to make a decision because the only holdback is the management of this initiative. If we ban cell phones, we are going to have to ban them for everybody because it is an addiction. We use that same word today. The kids are just as addicted as the adults are. We have to be able to manage it. And Mrs. Eberly came back from a conference this summer and she started right in. They're done. They're gone. We don't want them. She had the bags to put them in. And I was like, hang on, because we really have to talk about how to manage it. We fully understand and support what you're saying.
But my question is, why do we need to wait for the state? Tri-Valley's been unique. We've been ahead of a lot of stuff here at Tri-Valley for many years. We've been an exception, and a lot of schools look to us at one time.
We're going to have some growing pains with this. So we just all have to be prepared for the growing pains. And we were not when school started this year. So it's still on our docket. We just want to do it the right way.
I just had to share my anxiety tonight. Thank you.
Okay, moving to item 20 is adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
So move.
Pat, motion by Pat. Who was the second?
Second.
Thank you, George.
Second.
Have a nice holiday, everyone.
Aye.
Thank you.